Hello and welcome to our assembly video for the BO-105 anti-tank helicopter from the Leopard expansion for Team Yankee. As you can see, I have already clipped the components from the sprue. There are the fuselage halves and landing skids, the canopy with the roof mounted sight, a blade antenna, the components to construct the pods for the Euromissile HOT ATGMs. I won't butcher the French language, but HOT is an acronym that roughly translates as high speed optically tracked tube launched. Next we have the stabilizers, tail rotor, main rotor components and rotor mast. Finally the clear flight stand and magnets. With the parts description out of the way, let's move on to assembling the model. You'll notice that one half of the fuselage has a number of locator recesses and the other has a series of corresponding locator pins. To assemble the fuselage, first run some plastic glue along the inside of the side with the recesses as shown here. With that laid down, place the two fuselage halves together, then press to ensure that the parts are firmly locked. Then attach the canopy in sight by running a small amount of glue around the area where this part goes, then seat the canopy. With the fuselage halves together, I move on to constructing the flight stand, starting by joining the stem and the base together. Then I take the top of the stem that fits into the bottom of the model. The top of the stem has a recess to help the placement of a magnet. A handy tip when magnetizing your model is to separate your magnet stack and mark the magnets on one side with a felt tip pen to ensure that you keep the same polarity. It also helps to have a non-magnetic tool to help with getting the magnets into their final position. I've used a wooden toothpick tipped with some poster tack. With the magnets in place, I attach the stabilizers. You will see that there is a cutout on the tail boom where this part goes. There is also a locator peg that is squared off at the back and rounded at the front to help with positive location. Run some plastic glue inside the locator recess on the stabilizers and attach them to the tail boom, ensuring to keep them parallel to the ground, forming a cross. Then I attach the blade antenna to the right side of the roof. You'll see a recess for this. The underside of the antenna has an angled locator bar to help you correctly align this part. Run a small amount of glue on the locator bar, then place the antenna into its slot. If placed correctly, you'll see that the part has a vertical orientation. Now that the antenna is in place, it is time to attach the landing skids. The skids have a flat section at the top of the rear strut on both sides. This mates up with a similar flat section on the fuselage. The front strut on each skid also acts as a locator peg. You'll find a corresponding recess on each side of the fuselage. Run a small amount of glue on the top of each strut, then seat the skids. The model is mostly assembled. Now it is time to move on to the weapon pods. These consist of two parts, the underside, which includes the mounting pylons, and the top side. You'll note that the locator recesses and pins on the inside of each of the missile tubes are not symmetrical. This is to help to ensure that you attach the correct top and lower. I'm leaving the weapons off as I find it easier to do part of the paint job without these parts in place. However, you will see that each pylon has a long and short leg. On the short leg there is a step that corresponds to the squared off section on the fuselage above the landing skid. The long leg also acts as a locator pin with a corresponding recess on the fuselage side. Next I take the main rotor mast and main rotor parts in order to put together the main rotor assembly. I run a small amount of glue on the part of the rotor hub that has the locator recesses, then place these two parts together. Then I attach the rotor mast by running a small amount of glue on the square locator pin at the top and press it into the bottom of the rotor hub. I'm leaving the tail rotor off for the same reason as the weapons, however there is a locator peg on the left hand side of the tail where this part goes. Thank you for watching.